In this video, I'm going to walk you through a 3-step system that I used to recruit and hire an awesome executive assistant so that I could buy back 10 hours of my time each and every week. Let's dive in. I'm Eleanor Beaton, the founder of Safi Media. We are a coaching and education company on a mission to double the number of women entrepreneurs who sustainably scale past $1 million in annual revenue by 2030. And our unique specialty is working with women consultants and service providers who want to scale from 200K to 2 million plus. Now, I have been an entrepreneur for close to 20 years, and in that time, I have had 5 executive assistants, both full-time and part-time. So I definitely know a thing or two about, number one, how important it is for any high-performing leader to have a great assistant, but also how to recruit and hire the best executive assistant for you and your company. Everything I'm about to teach you in this video is actually reverse engineered from a tool that we use. We help women founders install in their companies. It's called the Admin-Free CEO tool. And this tool helps women founders like myself, like you perhaps, cut down on their workload by anywhere from 8 to 10 hours per week by bringing in an awesome executive assistant. Now, you can use what I'm going to teach you in this process to hire for just about any role, but having a great executive assistant is one of the most important hires in any scaling company. Look, building a team is hard. And in fact, hiring somebody, especially making your first full-time hire, is often a bigger deal than the decision to start a business in the first place. Maybe you worry about being responsible for meeting payroll. Maybe you worry about how you're going to lead them. Maybe you are like, how can I possibly come up with enough work to keep somebody busy 40 hours a week? On the other hand, you've probably heard the expression, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Business is absolutely a team sport. So whether you dream of having a very lean dream team who can work very effectively and productively to create a really great business, or you see yourself as an empire builder, you see yourself scaling your company to over 1,000 employees, the ability to hire and recruit and hire a really great executive assistant is going to be an absolute game changer for you. Now, here's something interesting. In the work that I've done with literally hundreds of entrepreneurs, I will often find entrepreneurs a little bit resistant to hiring an executive assistant. It's almost like they would rather hire somebody to do other types of work, maybe to serve clients, to do client service delivery. They want to hire somebody in marketing. So they look for all of these other kinds of roles that they would hire for first. Meanwhile, you've got these CEOs of growing companies checking their email, managing their calendar, and doing a ton of lower level administrative work themselves. You need to understand that your time is incredibly valuable. And when you bring somebody in to support you, when you accept that you are worthy of receiving that kind of support, you step into your power as a leader who is capable of scaling your company with more energy and more support. And ultimately, the whole process is much more enjoyable. I can remember in my first business that I grew and scaled, and it was early in that process, and I did not have an executive assistant in place at that time, and I was doing everything. I was literally doing all the communications consulting work. I was managing my calendar. I was managing email, arranging meetings and business development meetings. I was responding to inbound inquiries. I was just going 24/7. I did not have the support I needed, and I started dropping balls in terms of client deliverables. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, I really need support. And that's when I hired my first executive assistant. She was a part-time executive assistant, and it was a complete game changer for my business. But I had to accept that I was never going to rise to the level of my potential if I first didn't unbottleneck myself and deal with the very real constraints that were taking up my time and energy on a day-to-day basis. The second belief that I think is so important for entrepreneurs is no one is born knowing how to do this. Every day I'll talk to entrepreneurs who feel nervous about taking on the responsibility of hiring an executive assistant. Maybe they're not sure how to manage that executive assistant. Maybe they're not sure how to give specific feedback. And when it comes to leading people, and especially leading team members, I find that entrepreneurs can experience a lot of shame from not doing it well. Well, I just want to tell you, nobody is born knowing how to do this. Learning how to lead and manage people, especially somebody as key as an executive assistant, is a learned skill. So the sooner you dive in, get humble, know that you're going to make some mistakes, know that they're going to make some mistakes, but commit to doing the best you can through a messy process, the better off you're going to be. I just want to take a minute to define what an executive assistant actually is. There are some common things that a great EA is going to do for you, but there's also a lot of very specialized things that are going to completely depend on your business. So for instance, inside my leadership coaching business for women entrepreneurs, what my executive assistants have done over the years is completely different than when I was building and scaling my communications consulting company. And it's completely different from my friends who own engineering companies or media production companies or digital fitness companies. So the role of an executive assistant is going to morph and shift depending on the leader they are reporting to. My executive assistant, just like most executive assistants, have one core priority, which is to unbottleneck the leader that they work with, or to unbottleneck the CEO and to increase their productivity. So whenever I go out to market to recruit an executive assistant, one of the core things in that job description, and we'll get to the job description here in a minute, but one of the core things in the job description is that your role as my executive assistant is to 3x my productivity by taking ownership of administrative tasks and freeing me up to focus on growth activities. So while it looks different for every entrepreneur, I'm just going to share some of the things that my executive assistants have done over the years, just to kind of get you brainstorming a little bit about what an executive assistant could do for you. So in my case, my executive assistant handles all of my email. I literally spend about 10 minutes per week dealing with email, 10 minutes. They do all of my calendar bookings. So if you want to book yourself into my calendar, you have got to go through my executive assistant. My executive assistant helps me on core partnership or marketing projects. She helps with specific outreach to partners, to marketing collaborators, to set up events. She also helps with things like event planning. So basically, whenever I have special projects, and many CEOs have a lot of special projects because you're doing growth projects. So you are working on projects that are not systematized in your business yet. So my executive assistant is usually at the tip of the spear with me, working side by side with me on the more administrative details of growth or one-off projects that we're experimenting with or trying. This is how they help you grow. This is how they help you get out of the weeds. And this is how they help you continuously sort of be at the vanguard, at the front of your business, trying new things, working on new initiatives, building new relationships, because they are there to help you implement the things. Many leaders and entrepreneurs are a little bit hesitant to hire a full-time executive assistant. So sometimes they make do with part-time virtual assistants long after they've outgrown them, or they focus on hiring for other parts of the job, or even worse, they go out and try to hire a director of operations or a COO or that kind of thing, when what they actually need is an executive assistant. Now, that's called title inflation, and it's one of the big sort of errors that people make that makes hiring way more expensive than it needs to be. I recorded an entire podcast episode on this called How to Grow Your Team Without Going Broke. We'll link to it in the description of this video, but you definitely want to go there after this video to listen to 5 ways that you can grow your company without going broke. But title inflation is something you do not want to do. Seeing all these entrepreneurs who I felt were delaying hiring an executive assistant because they didn't really have a process to do it, we decided to develop the admin-free CEO toolkit to more easily allow and sort of show the process. Here's exactly what you need to do to completely get out of administrative work in your company. Now, that may sound totally scary to you, so just know it is a process, but everything that I'm about to share is derived from the admin-free CEO tool. Now, as I said, the admin-free CEO tool actually has 3 steps. So these are 3 steps to get you completely out of all admin in your business. We're going to focus on step 1 in this video, but I will lay them out just so you know what they are. So step 1 is to hire a great administrative assistant. Step number 2 is to completely delegate all email and all calendaring. And then the third is to delegate special projects. So that's the 3-step system that we teach inside the Admin Free protocol. And we do that with clients that we are consulting with. If you would like to learn how to consult with us in this way, if you're sort of hearing this video, hearing our approach, and are like, I'd like to see if there's an opportunity to kind of work together with Eleanor and her team to help me scale from 200K to 2 million plus, just go into the description and you'll see a place where you can schedule a short call. We can tell in about 15 minutes if we're going to be able to help you. So just go and book a call, no pressure. We might be able to help you, and that's the best place to get started. So what we're going to do in this video is take the first part of the Admin Free CEO, which is recruit and hire a great executive assistant. Okay, so the first step when it comes to recruiting and hiring a great executive assistant is to have a great job description. Now, it is really, really tempting to go out to the internet to just download a classic job description for an executive assistant. And I think that is a reasonable thing to do as sort of a baseline template for your organization, but make sure that you remember what I said earlier. Probably about 30 to 40% of what an executive assistant does is going to be sort of centralized across different roles. So email is kind of email management, calendar management. These are classic duties of executive assistants. But the other aspects of their role is going to be completely tailored to your needs as a leader, to your preferences as a leader, and to the demands and nature of the company that you run. For instance, some of my colleagues, 50% of the work their executive assistants do is very personal in nature. They arrange their family travel. They arrange birthday presents. They actually shop for birthday presents. In my case, that is not really inside the realm of what my executive assistant does. There's no right or wrong. There's just what works for you. So you may download sort of classic executive assistant templates. Just make sure you're really asking yourself, what do I need help with? One great way to do this is actually to audit your time. So if you spent 1 to 2 weeks just kind of recording in half-hour chunks what you do, and then go and take a look at which of these activities did I love, which drained me. And as much as possible, we're going to try to take the things that drain you and put them into a job description and see how many of these could we outsource to an executive assistant. Now, if you would like to get your hands on a sample job description that I used most recently for my executive assistant hire, go ahead and take a look. We've got a link to it in the notes for this episode. Final note on creating a job description. Like I said earlier, I think the single most important line inside a job description that I almost never see in a job description is, how will this role make you more money as a company or make you more productive as a leader? Like, how does this role, why does this role exist, and how does it make you money? This is really important in an entrepreneurial company. I don't know, most entrepreneurs don't have tons of money sitting around to waste. Therefore, if you're bringing in someone to work inside your organization, you have to think about how they're either going to generate revenue or help you generate revenue. That's why I said one of the key things that I think should be in a job description for any executive assistant is that their job is to 3x your productivity. So make sure you put that line, the big why for the job, front and center in your job description. The next thing you're going to do is to promote the job ad. Over the years, I would say 65 to 75% of our candidates have come from referrals. They've come from our own community. They've come from people that we know. That said, you want to cast your job ad out as far and wide as you can. Here's a mistake I see entrepreneurs doing all the time. They come up, they decide, they finally commit, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hire an executive assistant. And they just basically talk to the first person that comes to mind. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. It could be the spouse of a colleague. And they give the job to the first person they meet. This is a rookie mistake. And I know you're doing that because hiring makes you uncomfortable. And so you try to go with someone you know to make you less uncomfortable. It makes it seem like less of a big deal. But you have to understand, you want to cast a big net, first of all. The other thing that people don't think about is that going to market to hire for a role is an amazing marketing opportunity. It shows that your company is growing. People want to be associated with growth. And it also gives all these people around you, like your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues, an opportunity to help. So often you're surrounded by people who want to help you if you only gave them a practical way to do that. Well, here we're looking for a new executive assistant. Here's this job description. Would you mind circulating it with your network or sharing it with 2 or 3 people who you think would be a great fit? That's an awesome way to get people to help you and allow people to be a part of your story and the growth of your company. So you're going to promote your job ad. Here's how you're going to do it. So first off, you're going to email your own list, if you have an email list, 2 to 3 times sharing the job description. And the subject line we always use is looking for a rock star executive assistant or looking for a rock star marketing assistant. You do you, but we always have a pretty simple subject line and we email our list 2 to 3 times. The next thing you're going to do is to share this job ad on your social media. So yes, share it on your company social media, but also definitely share it on your personal social media so that friends and colleagues can see and circulate with people that they know in their network as well. You want to get this job ad in front of as many people as you can. You want to then go and look for social media groups. So for instance, there could be Facebook groups that are focused on virtual assistants or executive assistants or work from home moms or, tech bros changing careers. I don't know what it is, right? Whatever it is, go look for Facebook groups and online communities where you could post that job. The next thing I would suggest is that you make a list of 20 to 50 people that you know in your network. And if you don't know 20 to 50, do 5 to 10, but do individual reach outs and say to them, hey, I'm not sure if you saw this. I'm looking for an executive assistant. If you know of an amazing person in your community who you think would be a great fit, please don't hesitate to circulate this. And then the final thing is to post to hiring boards such as Indeed. Do not just hire the first person that you think of. You are wasting opportunity and you are playing way too small to do that. Don't do that. All right, so you've written your job description, you have promoted your job ad. Now you are going to run the gauntlet. By run the gauntlet, what I really mean is having your prospects go through a number of steps. When I first started hiring, I had like one conversation with people. And then I started hearing this thing of hire slow, fire fast. And I was like, hire slow? What do people mean by hiring slow? Well, for you as the leader of an entrepreneurial company, what you want is to have multiple touch points with the prospective hire. So you know how in sales and marketing, we always say that people generally need a minimum of 7 touch points before they make the decision to buy. I always think about that in terms of hiring as well and try to have a minimum of 7 touch points in the hiring process, which gives both your potential executive assistant and you and your team ample touch points and opportunity to get to know one another, to get a feel for one another, to see each other in different kinds of environments and engagements, and to sort of have that opportunity as best you can to see and answer the question, hey, are we going to be able to work together well? When it comes to running the gauntlet, here's what we do and what I would recommend. Number 1, always ask them to submit a short 1 to 3 minute video telling them the top 3 reasons they would be a great fit for this role. This is a great exercise because in today's world, your executive assistant needs to be able to show up and communicate with people they don't know. If they are not confident on video, in Zoom calls, on video calls, just connecting with people, you've got a problem. So definitely do the video exercise. So that's touch point number 1. Once you have the resumes and the applications come in, what I would always recommend is that you go through your list, and ideally, in a perfect world, you're going to have at least 10 applications. We'll often get 50, 60, 70 applications for our roles, which is awesome. It just feels like this amazing embarrassment of riches. But what we will then do is make a shorter, like a long list. Okay. So you're going to whittle that list down to maybe 10. And then depending on your bandwidth, you're going to sort of take a look at the 10, go a little bit more in detail on their applications. And at that point, you may want to whittle it down one more time to maybe a shorter list of 6. 4 to 6 people. At this point, for an executive assistant role, if they're reporting to me, I like to do this, and this is not what a lot of people do, but this person is going to be reporting to me, and I'm going to be able to tell in a few minutes, is there an initial sense of rapport? So what I do is have a super short 15-minute touch base. And this is really kind of like a quick pulse check, an energy check, to quickly be able to see, hey, is there a potential fit here? I like this because if you have a multi-step hiring process, you are putting your prospective candidates through some steps so that both they and you can decide if there's a fit. So if I don't think there's a fit quickly because maybe the way that they show up on camera, it's super low energy, it's not a great reflection of our brand, or you may be a person who's like, wow, they are bouncing off the walls, this is not going to work for me. So it's a really great quick pulse check, and I love that process. So you have an initial sort of 15-minute, no more than that, pulse check. And then based on that, you may find that you're able to whittle out a few more from the process and also save them some time and refocus your attention on an even smaller list. From there, you are going to have them complete a series of short assignments. So what we do when we're hiring for an EA is we will pull together a master assignment that has 2 to 3 parts. We will usually have this assignment take place over a 2 to 3 hour window. So we would go to our shortlisted candidates and we'd say, okay, great. The next step of this process is for you to complete an assignment. This is really key because it allows you to test, are they actually going to be able to do the work you want them to do? And for them, it allows them to get a bit of a sense of what it would actually be like to work with you. A couple things that you can do that I think can be effective. So if you have that, your test, and you give them maybe a little bit less time than a person might require to do the exercise, that can be helpful because it can also help to see, hey, how does this person respond to time constraints? How does this person respond to pressure? So you have the option if you want to provide an honorarium for the assignment, if you want to pay for the assignment or not, that's an option that you have to exercise. So that's sort of the assignment phase. The assignments are great because you get to see how this person's work. Do they have a good quality of work? What were they like through the process? Again, there's multiple touch points. If you think about an assignment, there's multiple touch points that are going to be happening. Then after the assignment, then you have something to talk about. And at that phase, we will normally have, if you have a team, you can have a couple of team members also do a next round of interviews. And then normally I'll do another round of interviews. So typically by the end of a hiring process for an executive assistant, there have typically been 3 to 4 rounds of interviews and 1 to 2 rounds of assignments. This takes place often over a 2-week period, and it really gives both you and the candidate an opportunity to say, hey, what's it like to work with this person? You've seen them in a number of different sort of experiences and situations, and that really allows that sort of that connection, that knowledge to form, and it allows you to make a much more informed decision together about whether this executive assistant is going to be the right fit for you and your company. The fourth part of how to recruit and hire a great executive assistant is what we call simple onboarding. Okay, so you want simple, standardized onboarding. Onboarding is incredibly important, and we want to make it as simple as we can. So when it comes to onboarding, there's 3 steps to onboarding. Number 1, you want to write an onboarding letter. So when we work with clients, we actually have templates for complete onboarding letters for an executive assistant. But usually this letter is going to be like 2 to 3 pages. And what you want to do is really think through, what does success look like in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4? And based on that, what are the tools I'm going to need to equip them with? What are the passwords they need to have? What are the resources they need access to? Who are the people and names they need to be familiar with? So that sort of simple onboarding letter, again, for us, it's anywhere from 3 to 4 pages. It really goes through thinking through, at the end of the week, your new hire should be able to know if they were successful or not. The next part of this simple onboarding is to set a meeting cadence. Now, depending on the role, you may want to meet with this person in their first week every day for a 10-minute check-in. In their second week, you may want to meet with them every other day. It just really depends on you, the role, and your hire. But I really believe in providing feedback early and often, and lots of check-ins early in the process when the relationship is getting set and the expectations are getting set. And then the third thing you want to do is the daily recap. So what we do with our new hires, generally for the first few months that they're with us, at the end of every day, they're giving us a daily recap, sending it to me in Slack every single day. And it says, here's what I accomplished today. Here's what worked well, here's what challenged me, and here's on my priority list for tomorrow. This really helps you stay on top of things. It makes sure that there's this really open channel for them to share with you anything that's challenging them, any questions that they have. So it's a really, really awesome way to onboard. I hope you found this 4-step process to recruit and hire an awesome executive assistant super useful. Remember, those 4 steps are to write a job description, to post your job ad, to run the gauntlet, and then to execute simple onboarding. Again, this is part of a larger process that we teach to our clients inside the Jewel Business Accelerator. This is for clients and entrepreneurs who are scaling from 200K to 2 million plus. Putting in place an exceptional executive assistant is really, really important when you're scaling. And so you can use this protocol whether you are hiring a full-time executive assistant or a part-time executive assistant. We didn't have time to go through all 3 of those steps, but certainly the first one today should definitely get you well down the road in terms of hiring an amazing executive assistant. I am so excited for you. An executive assistant has the power to increase your productivity and transform your life. I can't wait for you to experience this firsthand. If you would like to work with us to scale your business, go ahead and check in the description. You're going to find different resources. Some are free. You have an opportunity to book a call with our team. We want to see women entrepreneurs like you succeed and scale, and we've got a ton of resources to help you do that. So definitely check out the description to book a call, to download other resources, to point you in the direction of really cool podcast episodes you might be interested in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. And if you have additional tips or questions on hiring an executive assistant, don't hesitate to leave it in the comments below. Thanks so much, and we'll see you back here for our next training video.